Welcome everyone. Today we're talking about mastering detachment. When we are on the journey of mastering something, it simply means that we have failed along the way, and with each failure, we've picked up a nugget of wisdom, we've picked up a lesson, and that has led us to the next level. And slowly but surely, one level at a time, we reach the place of mastery. That is my intention for all of you, to reach that place of ultimate mastery with detachment so that you're able to move on to the path of your soul evolution with the greatest of ease. I'm talking to people who get attached with others quite easily and they end up being hurt, disappointed, where they constantly feel that the expectations are not met by the other person. They're constantly thinking about how the other person wronged them, how the other person disappointed them, how the other person didn't behave the way they should have with them, how they disrespected them. And while all of that is happening, you still go back and knock at the door of that person, asking for acceptance, love, and validation. No matter how badly they have treated you, no matter how much they may have ignored you, you still go there and knock at their doors. You still do this over and over and over again, and you continue to hurt yourself and they continue to disappoint you. If you are in that cycle, then mastering detachment will completely change your life, because it did for me. Here's a bit of backstory. As a child, I was deeply ignored, whether it was in my house where my parents were very busy working, or it was in the school where there was a lot of partiality and the teachers liked a certain kind of kids who were extroverted or who performed well in studies, and the others were all ignored and there was no attention paid to them. Now, I truly accept and I know that my parents have done the best they could have, and I truly honor and respect their upbringing, and there were a lot of good points with it. So no parenting is perfect parenting, and I feel they've done a fabulous job at whatever they could have done at that time with the awareness that they have. Having said that, I was deeply ignored, and with that comes this craving to be seen, and I wanted to be seen. Cut to, I enter college and I find this guy who finally sees me. He finally sees who I am, and the inner child in me goes complete gaga over it, because I'm like, someone has finally recognized my existence. I am not a nobody. I am not invisible. I've always known I'm meant for great things, and this person recognizes it. The moment that happened, I gave my all to this person. I worked with them in a startup, and I would work for them day and night, trying to do my best, give my best. As a 17-year-old with all the knowledge I had, by the way, I was very smart and kind of a genius in terms of making presentations and doing whatever work was required, creating investor presentations, making wireframes for app flow, and like so much more. While I was giving a lot, I was of course very emotionally invested in this person. So I was not doing this as a transaction, but as more of a, hey, I like you and I like what you're doing, and I want to give you the best possible things and the best possible work. So it was coming from a deeply emotional space, until I realized that for them, this was a transaction. For them, they just wanted something from me and they got it. Once I was no longer giving them what they wanted, the kind of work, because I was super stressed and traumatized by everything they were doing, they were very good at letting go. And that was the time my heart broke into so many pieces. It was like a ton of bricks that fell on my head, and I was like completely crushed and traumatized from that experience. And while I look back at it now, I understand that that person was meant to be my greatest teacher. Their presence in my life was super important, because it led me to being extremely anxious and depressed, and then finding a way to heal my anxiety and my depression naturally through mindfulness. That led me to my awakening. So now I see them as my greatest teacher. But what happened was, this pattern sort of continued into many other relationships. I would continue to attract people in my life who I would get super attached to. I would give them anything and everything and more, than their capacity to receive. And as I did that, it would either overwhelm them because they would be like, we're just here to take this much, not this much from you. So they would get really overwhelmed, or once their transaction would get complete with me, they would just leave, and I would feel so disappointed, emotionally hurt, because I was like, I wanted a relationship and you wanted a transaction. And that is so sad and hurtful. And I would constantly get hurt on that same place again and again until I realized something needs to change. There is something that I'm not being aware of. There's something that this situation is trying to teach me, but I'm not learning it. And that is why every other person that comes into my field ends up disappointing me and hurting me and not meeting my expectations, and just treating the relationship as a transaction and not emotionally investing themselves as much. So here's what my lesson was in this particular pattern. It was, number one, to learn detachment. Detaching myself from people and situations, not instantly going into a relationship and seeing it all blast up into millions of pieces. I needed to really see, who am I investing myself in? Are they even worthy of my emotional investment? Do they carry the capacity to receive from me? I understood that my emotions are valuable and I feel too much, and that's okay. It's okay if you feel too much as well, and it's okay if you expect the other person to also go as deep as you want to go. That's okay. But does everyone deserve that emotional depth? Probably not. So I really had to figure out who deserves me emotionally and who doesn't. What I started to do was, I started to go really slow in relationships. Earlier, I would go really fast, get attached too soon, and everything would blast in millions of pieces. And then what I started to do was go slow with it, to really test the waters, to see how much capacity does the other person hold to have me in a relationship with them. And this comes from a very secure place. If I am hungry to be seen by someone else, if I'm really hungry that someone else should validate me, then I would constantly get hurt. But when I stopped, my second lesson was to see myself, is to stop, pause, really see my own uniqueness, my own power, my own gifts, and not wait for someone else to see that in me, not wait to receive validation from outside, but really become more self-sufficient within me. As I learned to do that, as I learned to really see myself, my need to be seen by another person started to diminish. And that's how I learned my karmic lesson, which was to have a balance in terms of going into new relationships and not getting too attached, being in a state of balance, coming from a highly secure space. Those who are meant to stay will stay regardless. I know so many people who are constantly mistreated by their, especially a lot of people who have in-laws who are very toxic, and they're constantly mistreated by them, and yet every time they go back to them, every time they expect them to give them some kind of validation and appreciation, or just see them, and I really ask them, are they even the right people to see you? They do not literally care. They do not have the best of intentions for you. Are they really the right people? And I can clearly sense that they are not the right people. I can clearly sense that their intentions are not very pure towards them. But somehow, as daughter-in-laws, we are conditioned to try to impress our in-laws and try to get them on our side no matter what, and try to receive a lot of appreciation from them. We put them on some kind of a pedestal, and that is a societal conditioning that we've had. It is not just about mutual respect, but it is about craving their validation, craving their appreciation, craving them to see you. But in so many cases that I worked with, and this might not be for all, they are not going to give you what you're asking for. So you're causing yourself a lot of suffering by constantly knocking at their door and expecting them to see you and appreciate you and validate you, because they're not going to do that. They don't intend to do that. And the sooner you realize that, the better. It's like going to them every day with an empty bowl and asking, can you please fill it with some validation for me? Can you please fill it with some love for me? But instead, what they fill it with is a lot of abuse. a lot of mistreatment, ignorance, avoidance, taunts, disrespect, and whatnot. But yet, the next morning comes and you reach there at that same door and you say, can you please give me love, validation today? Please, can you do something different today? And then they again fill it with a lot of abuse, mistreatment. You go there disappointed, sad, and come back again the next day. So, well, don't do that to yourself. So, like, literally, who's causing this suffering to themselves, guys? It is you. You're hurting yourself by going there, knocking at the same door with your empty ball, asking for them to fill it with love. They will only fill it with abuse and mistreatment because that's all they have in their own jholas, in their own bags. That's what they carry. They don't carry love, appreciation, validation for you, and they will never carry that. And the sooner you accept it and the sooner you detach yourself from that, the easier it will be for you to move on towards the path of your purpose, towards your soul evolution. Detachment means that they can still be in your energy field, they can still be there, it's okay, but you got to make them completely insignificant in your life in terms of how much they get to impact you, how much they get to influence you, how much they get to influence your mood. When you're attached, you're constantly thinking whether they are messaging you or not, what are they saying, each word, each emotion, each expression, you're hyper aware of that. That's how you're attached, right, to them. You're constantly observing them. Your worldview becomes how they are reacting to you, how they are responding to you. And that's all you see. And you're not able to see that there exists a life much beyond and above that. And there are so many people in this life that you can meet if you let yourself detach from them. A whole new world will open up for you of opportunities. People will come into your life who truly deserve your presence, who will honor and respect your presence, who will literally give you the queen, the princess treatment that you deserve. And for that, you have to recognize people who are not giving you that treatment and create a distance from them. And as you start creating a distance from them, you free the space for the right aligned people to enter. You just need to create a space for yourself where you can feel highly secure, grounded, and from that space of grounding and security, you can invite people into your space who may seem aligned to you and just keep the blinders off and keep the rosy eyed glasses away and know that some people may just come in here for a transaction. They may just come in here for a particular purpose, and when that purpose is served, there is a very good chance that they will leave. And some people will come in here to teach you a lesson. That lesson may not be taught to you in the most kind way. They might teach it to you by mistreating you, and to be aware of that there is mistreatment and there is abuse or there is disrespect, and to see it as that and call it out as that. And then you can really see whether you want to give them a chance to improve or whether you want to let them go. When you start detaching yourself from situations and people, you start realizing that there is so much more space for your own growth. And when you're walking towards your soul evolution, when you're walking towards on the path of growth, you are so much more free as you do that. There is so much more freedom as you do that. You don't have to walk with so much baggage of karmic entanglements. And this could even be your family. A lot of times I've seen people who have such great potential, who have such a beautiful gift, but it is their family that is blocking them from truly moving forward. If there's a work commitment, the family calls them for a family occasion or a family event. They're unconsciously blocking them from moving forward. It is important to recognize that as well. It may not just be abuse, it also has to be who is contributing to my soul evolution and growth and who is not contributing to that, who is pulling me back. And soul evolution doesn't only mean that you're walking towards your career. It also means self-love. You may not want to go for that particular occasion or for that particular function, but you're forced to go out of formality and obligation, and you may use that time instead to do something that actually nurtures you, but you're constantly burdened with the responsibilities of pleasing the family. So it is important to really ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this really important? Is this contributing towards my soul growth? When you start doing that and you start detaching, you will excel, my friend. You will move on to the next level, my friend, because there will be so much space, time, energy to do what you love doing. You have one life. Spend every minute you can to do what you love doing, to do what fills you up with joy, to do what makes you feel fulfilled and satisfied. And all your energy must be directed towards that. And when you are fulfilled, you will be able to overflow that fulfillment, that joy to others around you, and they will all receive from you in abundant and wonderful ways. And the easiest way to do that is to detach, detangle karmic entanglements, and to move on to the path of your growth by truly reflecting on who deserves your energy and who doesn't. And for those who feel that they do not have anyone in their lives who validate them, who love them, who support them and appreciate them, and therefore they just go and take the breadcrumbs available to them, let me tell you, you have yourself. You have God. Start building a relationship with yourself. Start building a relationship with God. You will become your favorite person. You wouldn't need to go out to look for anything. You can just find everything within you. And from that space of fulfillment, you will create so many more meaningful relationships around you. So you've got to look within. I really have had to understand this, that nobody is going to see me the way I want to be seen unless I see myself the way I want to be seen by the world. While I was ignored as a child, I really wanted someone to recognize me, to someone to really see me for the wonderful person that I am. And I understood that nobody else can do that for me. Nobody else can do that job for me. And I have to recognize my own value, my own worth. And that will change and shift things for me. And when you start turning back within, it is easier to detach. So, my only hope and intention for you is to stop going back to those people who don't treat you well, to recognize the signs of disrespect at the get go, and not take shit from anyone who doesn't value and appreciate and respect you the way you deserve to. You can give them a chance by teaching them boundaries, but if they don't learn, they don't adhere to the consequences, then you got some decisions to make. If you have a similar situation in your life where you're finding it hard to detach from people who are not treating you right, or who are disappointing you or avoiding or ignoring or ghosting you, then comment below with your situation, or reach out to me if there are certain deeper karmic entanglements in your life, and we can work through it in a healing session, in a Akashic Records Karma healing session, which is one of my signature sessions, where we work upon understanding what karma do you have with the other person, what are your lessons with them, and how you can learn those lessons with greatest of ease. Sending you all so much love. Take care. I love you, and you deserve the very best in life.